Hi, my name is Alea Holmes, and this is my play pitch on Intimate Apparel. Intimate Apparel for me is not a play that you just experience one time, in one way, in one format. No. Intimate Apparel to me is a play that can not only be watched and experienced and viewed as an audience member, but can also be read as an audience member, as an artist, as a playwright, as a director, and still have the same impact no matter who's viewing it or in what format it's being viewed. Those personally for me are the kinds of stories that I want to tell, and the kinds of playwrights that truly inspire me to want to direct and put on a play. Plays that tell a story no matter the format. I love that. When I first read this play in directing one, I wasn't fully aware of the depth of the story and the world that I was about to be sucked into. From the intricate patterns and relationships that are woven together, from the imagery to the dialogue that's not only heartfelt, but it's comedic and it has the perfect amount of humanness to it that just makes that story so much more impactful as a director to put forward, but also as an audience member to observe. And I guess you could say, no pun intended, that the work in this play has truly been woven into my spirit, and it's something that I just can't replace. I am totally inspired by Lynn Nottage and her ability to write about the working class, specifically the Black working class, in a way that feels realistic but still powerful enough to punch a message. I mean, she's in her late 50s. She grew up in Brooklyn, New York. She studied at Brown and Yale drama and is a current theater professor at the Columbia School of the Arts. I mean, her resume is just insane. She is the only Black woman, and I'm reading off of my notes just to make sure that I don't get any of this wrong. She is the only Black woman to have received the Pulitzer Prize for Drama twice, once in 2009 for her play Ruined, and then once in 2017 for her play Sweat, which is also an amazing play. She just recently premiered MJ the Musical at the Neil Simon Theater on Broadway, which is nuts. I am a Michael Jackson stan. So that, when I found that out, that just completely reaffirmed my love for her. She also had just done an opera adaptation of Intimate Apparel, which blew my mind, and that's something that I would have never thought to do, but now that I'm thinking about what that would be like, I feel like that was the perfect decision for them to have made. She's also the co-founder of the production company Market Road Films, and has developed original work for HBO, Amazon, Showtime, just to name a few. And she also was a writer and producer on the Netflix series She's Gotta Have It, that was directed by Spike Lee. And she was a consulting producer on the 3rd season of Dickinson, which is on Apple Plus. Just to give you a little taste of what Miss Nottage has been up to and how extremely heavy her resume is. She's amazing. A little bit of inspiration about how and why Lynn Nottage decided to write Intimate Apparel. She wrote the play in 2003. The play was first performed also in 2003, but it was published in 2005. She wrote the play as a tribute to her great-grandmother, who was a seamstress in the early 20th century in New York. The play explores the complexity and relationships of the history of African American women and other minorities. She also wrote the play about missing her mother, who had passed away, and trying to figure out how to love something that is no longer there. I feel like that message is really prominent throughout the play, and I truly appreciate that aspect, because especially as someone who's lost woman figures close to me, I feel like this play really speaks to that absence and what we must do to carry on. She was also inspired by a photograph of a white satin corset that had embroidered orange blossoms on them. And she found it in a book about lingerie. So I feel like she has all of these different personal connections to writing this story, and you can really tell because it just seems so real, and that's not something that you can just kind of make up. Diving into the world of the play, we follow Esther, who is a very plain, modest African-American seamstress in 1905 Manhattan. She creates intimate apparel, so lingerie and garments of that type, for women of all classes, all ages, all races within the town. As she's also yearning for intimacy and connection, she ends up building that sort of relationship with a man named George, who is a laborer in Panama who sends love letters back and forth to Esther. However, the relationships that she has with her clients, with a close friend, with a fabric seller by the name of Mr. Marks, reveals all of the complexities of race, gender, class, societal norms, expectations, which ultimately lead to her devastating yet empowering revelation. And I'm just going to leave it there because I feel like there are so many different things that I could say about this play, but I really want to get into the deeper meanings and ideas and themes that go along in this play, which obviously get down to intimacy and friendship, which is showcased within every dynamic that Esther is a part of, whether that be with Mamie or Miss Dickinson or Miss Van Buren or Mr. Marks or George. She has so many different levels of intimacy that go beyond romantic, and I feel like that is a very strong and deep theme within this play. Also getting into the ideas of the American dream and what is deemed as possible for women of color or for people of color or for women in general, for everyone. Finding out what that means to each character in this play and how that affects their relationships is very important. Going along with that, we have a lot of themes of gender expectations and race and class from every character in this play as well. Even other themes like things seeming too good to be true, not giving up on your hopes and dreams for a man or for love, falling in love with your friends too, like I was saying before, with the love not only being romantic but also being platonic. Not letting others take away that dream, living in a big city, following your heart, feeling left behind in society as a woman, especially as a woman of color, and just being blinded by love and the idea of love and that false hope that is given to a lot of women that come into just wanting to be held, as Esther said in the play. A little bit of scholarly insight from Paula Vogel, which is she's a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright. She says that Lynn Nottage's work explores depths of humanness, the overlapping complexities of race, gender, culture, and history, and the startling simplicity of desire, with a clear tenderness, with humor, with compassion. Couldn't have said it better myself. That completely wraps up the entire idea of what this play is and what we are expecting audiences to take away from this play. In terms of structure, timeline, and setting, as we said earlier, this play is set in Lower Manhattan in 1905. The play spans over one whole year within 2 acts, and we have a few key locations being Esther's boarding house, Mr. Marks's fabric shop, Mrs. Van Buren's boudoir, and then obviously we have George in Panama with the letters. I feel as though making that a setting in of itself will be a bit of a challenge for us, but I'll get into the challenges and the things that we can think about when getting into making this play in a little bit. But even getting to the question that we're all wondering is, why is this play even relevant? Which isn't even a question that I like to answer, because if I like it, it's relevant. But I feel like this play is timeless. especially when it comes to women and Black women. A lot of the time our stories get kind of pushed to the side or silenced or overlooked, and I feel like this play is a perfect way to give that power back and to showcase the realities and the good and the bad and the ugly about being a single Black woman yearning for something more and being in a society that is trying to make you conform to the norm. That will never get old, that will never get played out, because unfortunately that is the way that the world works. And a lot of the time people don't like to watch plays about how the world already works, but these are the kind of plays that are going to change how the world works, because theater is not a place that makes you safe. Theater is a place that is supposed to invoke feeling and emotion out of you, which is something that I learned through the theories of Antonin Artaud and the theater of cruelty. We are not supposed to be safe and comfortable in theater. We are supposed to be jolted, and our senses are supposed to be excited and overwhelmed and aroused, and so many different things that people are too afraid to step into. That is what I want to step into when getting into the relevance of this play and why I should be the one to do it. So getting into those challenges of the production and also some solutions for those challenges. Intimacy coordination is going to be a very important aspect of this play. And so obviously hiring someone that could get us that realness and that authentic feeling of intimacy from every single character and how they interact with each other will be important. For design considerations with the fabrics and the costumes, those are going to be integral to making this play work and adding that visual storytelling element. From not only this being a period piece because it's set over 100 years ago, we're going to need costumes that showcase where we are, but also the fact that I want the clothing and the fabrics themselves to be seen as a character. I want them to be treated as such. I want me and the costume designer to be just as close as me and acting coaches or intimacy coaches, because I feel like the actors have to add another element of acting with the fabric. I want the costumes and the actors to be treated with just the same amount of importance, because the fabric and the clothes are a character. Set wise, I would say I would want the set to be as realistic and simplistic as possible, while also having those dramatic effects for where the fabric is at in each scene. Specifically when we see in the play the different clothing items that are showcased at the beginning of each scene, I want those to be showcased somewhere, whether that be on someone's clothing or on a mannequin or within the colors of the lighting and the sound. And I want that to be known somehow. Speaking of sound and soundscapes, obviously we have sewing machines or bustling city sounds, maybe even voiceovers of George's letters. All of this will kind of help us transport the audience to New York in 1905. I really want us to feel like we are set in New York City, Lower Manhattan, 1905. Lighting will also guide transitions between realism and dreamscape and just completely give us that illusion of being inside of Esther's mind at some point. So I have a lot of creative design choices that I want to get into with this play as well, but I feel like those challenges are going to make or break this show, and they'll be so much fun to figure out. And getting into why Alea? Why me? Why should I direct this production? Why me? I have such a deep emotional connection to this show, and if it doesn't show already, this is my favorite play, simply because of what I was saying at the beginning with how this play tells a real story. And as a Black woman, I feel like I have the ability to tell a story like this to the emphasis that Lynn Nottage was expecting it to be told in. And I love the aspects of blending love and comedy and drama and just real people stuff into a space where we can suspend our disbelief for an hour and a half. I feel like that is so important, and combining those dreamlike elements with those aspects of realism that just calls to me in a way that I know that this is the kind of work that I want to be doing with my life. I also have a very strong passion for collaborative effort and storytelling. I know that the community of people that I'm going to be working with to put this play on are going to care about it just as much as me. And that makes me so excited to work seamlessly, no pun intended, with everyone in this project to make sure that we create something that goes beyond us and goes beyond what we're telling and goes beyond the play's production history, no matter if Viola Davis is in the role or if some girl we picked up off the street in New York is on the role or is playing the role. I would rather this story be told in such an intimate, no pun intended. I have so many puns, oh my gosh, you guys. I really want this story to be told in honor of Lynn Nottage's legacy, bringing this story to life with the authenticity and the depth and the care that she integrates into these roles. And that just would make me so fulfilled as an artist. Also, a little bit of a side note, I know that next year they are putting on this play at UNC Charlotte, and I'm a little peeved about it because of course I'm not going to be here when that gets put on, but that shows that this play is still worth telling and it's still relevant, or I'm sorry, yeah, that's the word, relevant today. And to know that we are putting Black women and women of color in leading roles on purpose, and it's not to make them seem or look a certain way. I love that. I love that. I love when we can actually showcase Black stories that aren't just about us going through something. This is a story that anyone can relate to. Any woman can put herself in the role of Esther and feel something. I just want to make stuff that makes people feel something. And this is the play that I can do that. And so with all that being said, I thank you so much for listening to me pitch this play. And I would be honored to work with you all. And hopefully that will be the case in the near future. Take care.